What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Reserves Radio, a Super Bowl episode, kind of. So, Alex, how you feeling this Pro Bowl week?
What's going on, guys? How are you, Angelo? Yeah, Pro Bowl, did it even happen? I don't know. I don't know when was the last time I
Jeez,
actually watched the Pro Bowl
I
game.
don't.
So I don't
No,
know.
no,
Is
no,
it
no.
just a
Average
me
NFL
thing
fans don't
that I
watch Pro
don't
Bowl. I'm not
that
gonna lie.
okay, okay. Just figured maybe there was some sort of appeal to that, but the game is just so whack. I guess for you it's like it was just a
Oh,
regular Bengals
yeah.
game because Burrow threw for a bunch of yards, a bunch of touchdowns, and the defense let him down. So
Yeah,
for
I guess
you
that's
it's
true.
potato
That's,
potato, right?
that's unfortunately very, very true. Ah, reality.
The only thing that changed was actually like
Yeah,
the team colors.
isn't it? But see, but then you got to experience what I.
Out
So
of
isn't it
that.
nice just watching Burrow play, man?
I mean, yeah, but it's just like the game is just so stale. The lack of contact is
Is
just so
NFL maybe the
meh.
one sport that
I don't
doesn't
know.
need like an
I don't
all-star game?
really. Yeah, it doesn't because there's no like great way of playing it outside of going like 100%. But then you're at risk for the injuries, which the league is
Yeah.
probably very much against as much as the
But at the
teams as
same
well.
time, then what's the point
So
of
like
playing it
the
at
point of
basically
it
the
is
very
kind
end of
of
the season then? Because I mean, I guess technically, if you got an injury, really, unless you fractured your Achilles for your Achilles, how many injuries would take you out into next season?
I mean, there's a few, I guess, like the ACLs and whatnot. But yeah, there's not a whole lot. But the thing is, if you're not willing to embrace the
Yeah, then
risk,
while you're out
then
there,
I don't
yeah.
really know what you're doing playing that game. Like, yeah, I guess I understand the skill challenges and whatnot. They're like fun to watch at times, but outside of that, it's scale at this point.
Is there really anything they could do to spice up the Pro Bowl?
Please do. Outside of playing like 100% and actually playing it like a
Yeah,
game,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe try play. I don't know. Try some weird things. Like for example, have I don't know drives in which the offense has more players on the field than the defense, and vice versa. Things like that are working like a sort of boost, as if you were playing a video game. Activate boosts and whatnot. I guess bring that part of it a bit more. But then the OLEDs probably are not gonna like it all that much. So yeah, I guess it just depends what the target demographic is. Like if your target demographic is the younger audience, I think incorporating some video game like aspect to it could be probably a bit better. Run a poll for power ups and whatnot. But if your target audience is the older demographic, then I guess just keep running it as it is. Like it's not actually an issue for the NFL since like this is still their lowest week or their worst week of the entire season, and it's a week that they don't care all that much. Plus, you still have all of the podium interviews with the players now. So I guess do they really need to spice it up? Is it just more like nitpicking more than anything else?
Yeah, honestly, I just don't think the game should exist. And maybe that's a hot take, but I just don't think they should do it.
I think they should eliminate it from like across the board, probably for all the sports.
Yeah, I mean, I see the allure to it. You have your what if scenarios happening. What if X player played with Y player, but then it's kind of ruined by the fact that everyone's basically treating it like an exhibition match.
Yeah, that's the thing. Guess if you can make like, for example, so Chase and Burrow made it in this year. If you could make it so like Burrow can target Chase or like can play with Chase and have just Chase play with the second QB or something like that, just to create new dynamics or create new like just mix and match the talent, like not having like what you usually see on a regular Sunday from a single team. Maybe make it a bit better, but at this point, I think we're grasping for straws. So just, I think, just let it be. Run like those little like events things, those little challenges, and be done with it. Like save the players some time, save yourself some time, avoid any sort of minor injury that might happen. Even though the contact is minimal, like you're still running in the field, so like things can go wrong. And just try and avoid that, I guess.
Yeah, there really isn't much I can see to improve the game.
I just don't even watch it anymore. So
Now, to me, it's borderline unwatchable, quite honestly. Yeah.
hey, but it's good. It's like the one season, the 1 week in the season in which you can actually like not pay any attention to football. It's like it's 1 week to decompress from the
But yeah,
entire season,
but
and
if
then you
you're
get
the
to Super Bowl.
NFL, do you want to have that week? Like, no.
No, but I don't
It
know.
feels
I
like
could like
it.
go and
It
watch
feels like we
what
just
sort of
used this
numbers they
week to
pulled.
complain about Taylor Swift and the Chiefs winning again. That really does feel like what this week is, and it's been like that for a few years now.
I do need to bring. So now that you're bringing that up, I I do want to ask, like, do we just allow everyone to go into the media part of the questions to the players in the Super Bowl, and just let them make all the random questions in the world? Because I've seen at least like 3 or 4 questions that were way off the mark. Like there was someone in there with a media pass making questions to Patrick Mahomes, asking what his favorite ref was and what do the refs usually send him on
What did
Christmas
the
and
refs
what does he
send you
send to the
on
refs on
Christmas?
Christmas?
I love
What does he
that.
send to his favorite ref? Yeah, but it's like, isn't that supposed to be? What's the criteria to go in the fucking Super Bowl and make questions to the players? Is it just like having a Twitter account with like 2K
Kind of.
followers?
So
Is
I
that
hate to
it?
break it to you, but and I don't want to get into politics, but with the way the American political system is now, I feel like the aspect of society that we don't talk about is that we have become more of a like you talk we talked about wrestling. The media landscape now in America is more like a WWE promo than anything else. So it's not about like putting out factual information or like if Patrick Mahomes led the league in air yards, that's not a question that gets asked. They want persuasive, like booming headlines, persuasive questions, stuff to get people talking. That's what matters. Controversy is what matters in American society now more than substance. And that's just reality.
Like, can I just ask for you to be an actual reporter to
No,
make
factual
those sort
reporting
of
does not get
questions?
clicks. The number
Like,
one
not be a random
news
nobody.
television channel in America famously has said they do not care about the facts. They more or less care about entertainment and presenting their side.
No, but I just
Welcome
thought
to
it was
America, friend.
absolutely wild, and I
I
don't
love it.
remember it being like
This is
this
a
in years
recent change,
prior.
friend.
Yeah, but like, but well, yeah, but like, you guys have had like other periods in which this type of change and this type of like, uh, how do I put it? Polarization was happening in your country, and I still don't remember in those years having this sort of question. Maybe it's worse now than it was back then. But outside of that, I was
I'm not.
absolutely like flabbergasted. that I was hearing those questions at the podium. Like those players were sitting there answering to actual reporters, actual answering to like guys who were actually making serious questions. And then like this random
Yep.
fucktard just goes in there and is making all of those like ridiculous. I mean, he made also a question to Travis Kelsey in which he asked him, what does he like more or what does he rather have? Like dating Taylor Swift or getting 15-yard roughing the passer
Oh my
ghost
god.
penalties. And it's like Kelsey just looked at him like flabbergasted and was like, okay, next question. Oh my god, that was very weird to me. I can't
Welcome to
lie.
America, friend.
Jesus. Okay, I guess everyone gets a pass now. Go and make
Yeah.
questions to the players. Guess soon
Create a
enough it will be the
headline,
same for sideline reporters.
not distribute the
Like
facts.
instead of
Yes,
an
that
actual.
is society now. Whether you want to accept it or not. That is a society.
And people also get outraged at like the worst things. Another clip that I saw like being shared heavily and like everyone criticizing it was like a reporter was making a question like, what do you have to say about the non-Swifties who are going to be watching the game and are sort of fed up with the whole Taylor Swift thing? And his answer was just like jokingly, who isn't a Swiftie? And like Twitter went ham on the dude, and it's like Reddit went ham on the dude. Everyone went ham on the fucking dude because he was making a fucking joke about his girlfriend. Just like people need to take the chill pill
Yeah.
a lot of times right now. Like I don't know if it's because it's the Chiefs or if like
Yeah.
people are really just
The
completely
Chiefs have
tired of them,
transitioned. They
which I
have made the
understand, but it's
transition
still like
from, upstart people that, we are cheering for underdogs to we're tired of seeing you motherfuckers get out of here. They have turned into the Patriots, the Tom Brady led Patriots of the mid 2010s. They have successfully become the bad guys. They are no longer the good guys. Now you can argue if that's, fair or not to the players, to the, just landscape of the NFL in general, but that is what has happened. The NFL fan base as a whole have rejected them because of their success.
yeah, it really is just that. And I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird, honestly. Like the whole thing was, I don't know. But apparently, you also seem to think it's kind of not great, but you're just not surprised because like that's the state of things right
We don't get good things in America. You don't get to have good things.
now. So I was checking while we were talking about the Pro Bowl and viewership and whatnot. Like despite it falling like 18% versus the Pro Bowl game last year. So last year drew 6.3 million. This year it only drew 4.7 million. It was still the most viewed event from like the last week from so it still beat the PGA Tour, the NASCAR Cup Series, the Lakers Knicks game. Those
And no one's
were the
actually going to
next three
tune off of it.
events that
They're just going
happened
to
that
bitch
had.
about it. That's, again, welcome to America.
Yeah,
I,
that's the thing. That's the thing. It's just like they don't really see any. Plus, if you add like the amount of viewership that they got from like the media interviews to the players and whatnot, I'm certain that like they're not reeling about this, so they won't change anything for next year. Okay, so that's the Super Bowl part. That's pretty much wrapped up. We'll talk a bit about like if we have anything to change about our predictions and whatnot. But we've been saving some topics while the NFL playoffs were happening to talk about them right now because this was going to be a slower week. So now it's time to unravel some of those. And I guess we'll start by the 2025 NFL coaching hires.
Carousel.
So is there like any particular like the one hiring that we talked about because it was, if I'm not mistaken, the first one to happen was the Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. We talked a bit about it, so I think we can skip a bit about that one. But is there like any coaching hire that you
Like
want
I
to
need to
talk
talk
about
about first. Now
first?
I'll let you. I'm not gonna lie. You're the one who gets your pants all up in a tizzy over bad coaching more than me. So I just watch it and cry sometimes. That's all. Cry silently in the
Okay,
corner.
so I
Some
think
alcohol.
obviously the best one and the people that and the one that people will be clamoring for the most is the Chicago Bears hiring Ben Johnson. So that was pretty much instantaneous from the moment that the Lions went off the playoffs. Ben Johnson got hired like the week after or the same week or something like that. Um, like he gets the biggest contract ever for a rookie head coach. I think he's making like 16 million API if I'm not mistaken
So over 11 million,
on a 5 year
about
deal.
11 million a year.
So
Oh, it's more. It's
no, 16 mil per year. Yeah,
a lot of
I think
money.
it's around 16 million per year. Yeah, that's the biggest ever deal for a rookie coach. So props to him. Um, I mean, it seems at first glance like it is the perfect hiring for them. They needed an offensive-minded head coach. They should have made this change last year. I don't know why they didn't. Why they stuck up another year with Eberflus. But hey, Ben Johnson goes here like he's an offensive-minded coach. He is a coach that used to call plays already, has that in his resume, which is again, it's usually one of those questions that come up. Are you a play caller? And like, if you're the play caller, it usually attracts a bit more of success to you. If you've been calling plays in your previous job, so this is a good thing for him here in Chicago. I mean, it's going to bring that crazy offense from the Lions. Now, will he
You
have
would
the
argue
personnel to
yes.
execute
You
it?
would argue yes. No,
We'll
let's keep
see.
that in mind.
I would argue yes. Last year, after watching it, I have my doubts, but we'll see what they do. There's still a bunch of free
You're
agency time
telling
left.
me it
There's
wasn't
still a
enough
bunch of
draft
like
Roma
the whole
Tuesday
fucking draft is
to
gonna happen.
keep on Keenan Allen or to trade for Keenan Allen to keep TJ Moore there. They still have Cole Kmet to bring in DeAndre Swift. You're saying all that still might not be enough for you.
Let's see how they address the offensive line, which before last year I thought was actually average. I think they took a small step back in
Mhm,
terms of the ratings that I saw.
mhm.
I think they took a small step back. Didn't look as good last year. Maybe it was something to do either with Caleb holding onto the ball longer than he should, which at times was an issue. Some sprinkle of the issue could also be the offensive line coach. So we'll
Mhm.
see which was what in there. But I do expect him to make some fine tuning on that offense. But with better coaching, I'm sure that they will look much more improved. Um, so that's like the big coaching hiring. Like I'm sure that no matter how much people want to try and push aside Caleb for what he did in year one, I'm fairly certain that was part of the reason that Ben Johnson chose this job when he was like the the hottest, I guess, coaching ad coaching name out there. So I'm sure a big reason why he went to the Bears was the QB situation, which was probably the best one outside of you can argue the Patriots with Drake May, but again, like the ceiling for Caleb should still be much higher. So, what do you think of the hire? Are you behind it? Do you like it? I'm sure that it's going to be hard not to like it at this point. because like how sexy the name is right now. But what's your like immediate thought when you hear Ben Johnson to
No
the
duh,
Chicago Bears?
no duh higher.
Know what?
It's kind of
No.
oh sorry, it's a
Oh,
no duh
think you
higher
cut
for
off?
me.
No. No. Okay. So we're at least a bit on the same side, I'd
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, so here's the thing. Do you believe that the woes for the Bears last year were coaching related, or do you think it was talent and personnel related? Because, or do you think there's like a percentage, like it was 70-30, 50-50? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Immediately when you said that, I went to 70-30 to the coaching staff. So I would say a good chunk of it was just like I don't think that Eberflus was a good head coach candidate for them to keep on. Then at the offense on the offensive side of the ball, like I was never, as you know, I was never a Shane Waldron guy. I didn't like his job with the Seahawks. He goes in there, I didn't see the vision for him in that position, so I had a big issue with that. And then you end up with like the offensive, what the passing game coordinator ends up being your head coach of all things. Like he goes from passing coordinator to OC to
Yeah.
head coach in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that. So that's kind of a wild ride. So I'd say 70-30, with 70% of the blame going to the coaching staff. Is probably how I feel about it.
I just, mm, I just can't help but believe that if it was a different quarterback, if we wouldn't be giving Caleb Williams more backlash, quite honestly. Because I think in today's NFL, the patience for not performing is a lot more stingent. And I don't think well, you sometimes look at numbers, but I don't think that your statistics is necessarily the thing that matters. It's the win and the loss column for most fans and honestly, most GMs and most owners. So I do believe that even as rookies, someone like I'm going to go back to Joe Burrow because I think he is one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think maybe not rookie season because we never really got to see rookie season Patrick Mahomes, but I think year two Mahomes. I just don't think those guys would have, even in that similar situation, would have let it get that bad. Maybe that's delusional. Maybe that's wrong, and maybe that's unfair to Caleb. But I just don't believe it. I don't believe that you have Joe Burrow, you have Patrick Mahomes, and they're starting all whatever 17 games. I don't think that translates to only 4 wins, especially with the cast that the Bears have. It's not like these were fucking scrubs. They literally spent an entire offseason and the trade deadline, if you want to take into account the Montez Sweat trade, literally tailoring a team around him. I just there's something that goes off in my head that isn't right. That just doesn't sound right to me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I also do put some of the blame on Caleb. So on those 30% that I attribute to the personnel, I would say if you're the QB, a good chunk of it should be on you. So I'd put at least 50% of that on him. So that's 15% of the blame on Caleb. I think the rest gets distributed between like the defensive backs, which I know Jalen Johnson had some issues this past season um, in the defensive side of the football. Then I would put it as well on DJ Moore, who at times, like from watching film, it just seemed like he was not at all that interested in running some of those routes. He was just giving up on most of them and being, I guess, just lazy on a lot of them as well. And then the offensive line, as I mentioned, which maybe took a bit of a step down. So like the rest of the 15%, I would attribute to those guys. So I'm putting up some of the blame on Caleb for sure. I just think that like the biggest issue for me was just like the mess that was at the coaching staff position. Like you watch a lot of these guys, those rookies that go through different head coaches, and maybe you're going through what, two OCs every 2 years or so, like 2 years one OC, then you get another one. You have two different OCs in 3 years. Maybe you got three different OCs in like 3 years. I mean, Caleb just went through three different OCs in a season, which is just like it's asinine to me. Like that's absolutely crazy. I don't know, like how that happens. I guess not even Trevor Lawrence when he had the Urban Meyer, like he only went through two OCs in a single year. So I don't know. I feel like sure Caleb deserves blame, and like if you're the QB on a team and like, you get all of that talent around you, you should muster more than like 4 or 5 wins for your team. But like things also start from the top, and at the top is sitting the head coach. Like that's the guy that needs to work the game plan, work the team, get everything set, and just like have the back of those guys so they can propel them to wins and whatnot. So again, blame on Caleb, but I think the coaching staff has to take the biggest chunk of it.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay, after that, there was also this one was kind of weird. So Aaron Glenn goes to the New York Jets. And Aaron Glenn, when you look at him, like I feel like last year, so not this one that is still ongoing, but last this past season, he had issues on the defensive side of the Lions, um, defensive side of the Lions team. The defense was allowing a lot of plays. They were allowing a bunch of points. People weren't really with Aaron Glenn for most of that season. Then he sort of turns it around there in the end. Team plays a bit better this year. Like it's an up and down season. Like they were looking strong, but with the injuries and whatnot, like the defense just became a complete mess, and they were allowing like 30, 40 points game constantly. Um, so I feel like this is a weird hiring because I don't know. I never really associated Aaron Glenn with the type of guy that would get the head coaching opportunity this soon because I don't think his job really called for it. Like, sure, when he had the players this past season, like the defense was hot at times. They were still allowing points as well, at times. But like
Oh
when he
yeah,
lost the players, it sort
I
of
I,
went
I think so.
complete derail
I
of the
think he's a
train.
very aggressive. Well, it's the Lions. He's a very aggressive play caller because Dan Campbell is also a very aggressive like play caller. So I kind of like it. Well, not kind of. I like it in the sense that the thing that I associate with the Jets are passiveness and not really trying to like push an envelope or not being aggressive. Aaron Grillen is aggressive. So in that sense, I like it. In another sense, I think it's kind of a lame duck coach in the sense that what the fuck do the Jets have that you're going to build around? Honestly, They don't. What do they have? They don't have the quarterback. They have the running back. They do have the wide receiver. Their defense has been elite in previous years under Robert Saleh, and they do have some amazing weapons there. But again, they don't have the quarterback. So unless they plan on drafting the quarterback, I kind of feel like Aaron Glenn is in a way set up for failure. Does that make sense? Because like you're telling, and even then, I'm giving
I
them as much praise as I can. The Jets won what, like 4 games this year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. So maybe I'm giving them more credit than the roster more credit than it deserves. But I don't know.
I'm gonna be frank. I think the big part of why I am not a big fan of this hiring is that like they just fired this guy this past
The Jets did,
season.
yeah.
Like he is like he's Robert Saleh. This guy is very much what you had in Robert Saleh, an aggressive play caller on defense. I mean, with the Niners, Robert Saleh had more success than what Aaron Glenn did um with
Yeah.
the Lions. So I just feel like you fired this guy mid-season because I don't know, you were having issues, or at least you thought you were having issues with this guy, but then you fire him and it gets much worse. Um, and you fire the guy, and then you turn around, and your first move is just to hire a guy that is just the same as the one that you fired. I don't know. This feels kind of weird to me. Seems like a very weird hire. I would expect him to go for a more offensive-minded head coach. But as you said, there's not a whole lot to build around with this team, so that might just be the issue. Maybe there was not a whole lot of like good candidates that were lining up to take the job. It could be just that. Um, so yeah, it feels like a weird move. Maybe it works out, but like if you can't figure out the offense, like you just got another Robert Saleh after you fired your Robert Saleh. So I don't know. Weird move. Maybe it works out. I am not hopeful at all, I would say. I feel like this is going to be another coaching mistake, another coaching hiring mistake. But I mean, I've been
Yeah.
proven wrong before. Just look at Campbell, right? Like that's the one that I remember I was completely against, especially from that press conference that he did at the start with the kneecaps and whatnot. I just felt like that was never gonna work. But hey, it worked out for them, and that's great. So maybe this one works out for the Jets as well. I guess the big thing that we're gonna find out though is not about Aaron Glenn. It's not about Ben Johnson. Is about the Lions. Like, let's say Dan Campbell has a subpar season with the Lions this coming season. Is the media gonna turn on him? Is the narrative going to be that he's just like he was just a good coach because of his coordinators?
Guess we'll see. I still think the quarterback is the number one thing for the Jets.
Hmm.
And I hate to sound like a broken record, but that does seem like the thing in the NFL is if you got the quarterback, then the rest don't matter for the most part. Like,
And he does seem to want to keep Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
oh, he's lame duck coach. That's it's I cannot I can I cannot think of a more like I understand. I guess I understand it because dance with the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And Aaron Rodgers does have a history of success, and maybe he's the best option for you to keep your job. But at the same time, how many years does Aaron Rodgers have left playing, do you think? Like, yeah, if that.
I think one
Like,
dude. Yeah, if that.
I don't know.
I
If
don't see
I
more
was a
than
new head
that.
coach, I would not want to hitch my
I
wagon to Aaron
guess
Rodgers.
Yeah, neither would I. That's for sure. I think that what he put on tape to end the season is probably decent enough for him to get another year. Uh but outside of that, like if he doesn't show immediate improvement, I don't know. I think the Jets should probably draft a QB this year to accommodate for that if you are really going to go for an Aaron Rodgers again. But we know how he
Yeah,
reacts when you draft another QB like that,
I
especially
don't
if you
even
draft
think
him high, like
I
Jordan
don't even
Love.
think
Now he's
Jordan
in a
Love
different
was
stage of
drafted
his career.
high. He was drafted at like the very end of the first round, dude. Like that's fair.
Well, yeah, but
I
that's
guess if
like
you
a first
consider
round pick on
a
a QB.
first is
Like
high,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
high as a
you're
first,
right.
second
And
round.
I'm just arguing over schematics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first, second is what I'm saying. Like so, like, but again, he was on a different stage of his career at that point. So maybe he takes it a bit better now, and he understands like Father Time is
Yeah.
undefeated. Do I actually believe that's gonna happen? I don't know. But we have hope, I guess. But for now, it seems like Aaron Glenn does want to keep him. So let's see how that goes. This is probably one of the hires that I'm really lower on. I feel like there are two hires that I really don't like. There's a third one that I thought was super weird, and then there was one that I like and one that I understood. So this was one of the ones that I really didn't like all that much. I guess we'll move on to the other one that I sort of understood, and let me know if you're on the same page as me. But Pete Carroll to the Raiders just feels very much like the sort of hiring that they need. They needed someone to steady the ship, someone with the experience, someone that could lead a good bunch of young guys that they will probably have this season. Like make a proper rebuild where you throw a lot of the older guys than in trades and cut them and just start a real youth movement for the Raiders because this team looks like they have reached rock bottom and this is about as good as you're gonna get. So like you're probably gonna see players that want to move and whatnot. So I feel like this is the right type of coach that you want to get to the Raiders. Get a guy in there that is experienced, that has gone through the part in which you're building a young team, a good bunch of young guys like he did with the Seahawks back then, when he embraced the youth movement. So I feel like it's an understandable move, and like worst case scenario, you're bringing him in, he's doing that work, and like in 2-3 years, like he just gives the team to the heir apparent because I don't think that he will coach more than 2-3 years tops. He's still energetic as fuck, but I don't think he's gonna do more than that at this point. Like, so now I understand this move. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you just, like I said, understand the move?
I don't.
What are your thoughts on Pete Carroll to the Raiders?
The Raiders are feel like a cursed organization at this point. Like I know you make fun of him, and I know you call me a fanboy of him, but be real with me. Derek Carr is the best quarterbacks the Raiders have had in 3 decades.
I mean, sure. Like he's also been what? He's been their quarter. He was their quarterback for like one of those decades. So outside of
You
that,
have to
like
go
the
back
other
for
ones, I don't
Rich
know.
Gannon before
Like
you
what's
can do
what's
it.
the other?
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say Rich
like,
Gannon is probably the other guy in there that any
but
sort
that's the
of
thing. Like, to be that's
case
Cleveland
to be a
Browns
good QB.
levels of sad. That's gener.
So I can read you. I can read you the list of guys that have been with the Raiders since the late '90s. So you're looking at Jeff
The
Ostel,
Raiders quarterbacks are
Jesus
so
Christ,
bad. Alex can't even say his
William
name.
Jeffrey.
Their names. Say their name.
Oh, it's Jeff
I don't know.
Ostler. Is that it? Does this ring any sort of bell?
No.
QB in 1996. He won the Super Bowl 25 with the Giants. maybe as a backup because the guy doesn't look to be good at all. After that, you have Jeff George. Then you have like
That's
4 years of Rich
outlandish.
Gannon, and that's probably the other guy that could have a case versus Derek Carr. Then you have like a year in which you had Rick Meyer, Rich Gannon, and Marquez Tuya Sopo, which is probably a member of like the Roman Reigns bloodline or something that we're gonna see in a few like episodes. Uh, then there's Kerry Collins, Andrew Walter, Josh McCown, Jamarcus Russell, the legend, Jason Campbell, Carson Palmer, Terrell Pryor. And then you start the Derek Carr age. So yeah, Derek Carr is their best QB, maybe ever. Well, not ever. I guess Ken Stabler was a better QB. But that's it. That's the competition. It's Rich Gannon, it's Ken Stabler, and it is Derek Carr.
Ah,
Hey,
you do.
plus you always say that I hate to do it. What I say is that current Derek Carr is not good. Like he had a good MVP season in there in which he got hurt. After that, he was never the same. So I'm just calling it out as I see it. Like after that injury, he wasn't the same guy. I feel like ever. So, but he is probably the best QB in Raiders history.
Sam, isn't that sad? Like, doesn't that screw? Isn't that Browns bad to you? Like Browns level of cursed?
Well, it's not Brown's level of curse because Derek Carr is still probably better than any QB
Baker
the
Mayfield?
Browns had playing for them. I think Baker Mayfield is a better QB, but I feel like Baker Mayfield in the Browns wasn't better than what Derek Carr was with the Raiders. That's what I'm saying. Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay is probably better than what Derek Carr was with the Raiders, but we're saying like Baker Mayfield in a Browns uniform, and I don't think that's better than what Derek Carr was with the Raiders.
Well, yeah, but anyway, that's the thing. I don't know what Pete Carroll plans to do, and maybe I'm just a pessimist, but when you have an organization that is just as inept and as bad as the Raiders have been, I don't know if I want someone from the 19 fucking 90s coaching the team. I don't want the old guard. I would want some fresh blood to try and give it a different spin, give it a different mindset, and if it doesn't work, go to the next one. That's maybe that's just me.
I think you're I understand where you're coming from, but I
Because you've been
think
doing this shit
from a
since the 90s. You've been
perspective
doing the same shit
of
since the 90s.
what candidates.
What?
Yeah, I understand, but the thing is, like, if you want to turn to a younger coach that can bring off
No,
that young
not just
country
that,
energy,
Alex.
the new ideas and
The
whatnot.
coaches
The
that they
thing is,
have, the older coaches that they have also flamed out, like John Gruden.
well, I feel like John
Jack Del
Gruden,
Rio?
and heck, maybe I'm completely wrong here. Jack Del Rio, sure, but I think that John Gruden would have actually sort of worked out in the long term if the emails thing didn't pop up. I feel like he was working things around. He was trying to get in a position in which he got to coach the team that he wanted, and I think he was about to turn it around and start winning some games actually. But then the coaching the email thing came down and he was fired because of that. But I think the big issue that you have here with wanting a younger coach is that like what young coach is going to come here? Like this is maybe one of, if not the worst rosters in the league, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know what sort of young coach you're attracting to this position. So instead of that, you can get an actual like what Pete Carroll has that the other guys didn't is success in this what century. Like John Gruden had success back in what early 2000s, late 90s. Like Pete Carroll had success less than 10 years ago. Like he was in a Super Bowl, coaching a Super Bowl, winning Super Bowls less than 10 years ago. He was in the playoffs as recently as what 2020, 2019. Like this is a guy that actually is a good head coach and wasn't away from the game for like 10 years like Gruden was or something like that. I think this is actually the type of coach that can reel your team back in. It's probably the best coach that they could have gotten in that position because out of all of the holdout, the retreads, like this is probably the guy that had the best cachet. So I feel like this is the type of coach that they needed at the stage. Like a younger guy is
Listen,
gonna come
I
in and he's probably gonna get overwhelmed because it is the Raiders, it is the Las Vegas, it is like a crazy bad roster. And like Pete Carroll, I think he is one of those guys that can turn this around
he's gonna
slowly.
have the
He's
time.
gonna have the
When have the
time
Raiders shown to be
because like
patient?
after I don't know, John Gruden got a lot of time until he actually managed to turn things around, and I thought he was going to turn it around in the year that he got fired. But I feel like John Gruden got a good bit of time on his side. And like, I understand that they usually don't give a lot of time to coaches, but when was the last time that they actually had a coach with this resume?
The resume of turning around the Seahawks?
Winning a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Going to the playoffs like damn near every single season with the Seahawks. Even when the roster wasn't
Yeah, but
good at
he got Russell Wilson. He got the quarterback right. He got the quarter. That's the thing. He got the
well,
fucking
yeah,
quarterback right. So if you're telling
didn't
me the
did
Raiders are gonna do the thing they haven't done in 3 decades
didn't
and get the
didn't he
quarterback right,
didn't
then
he go to
sure.
the
But if you're telling me John Gruden, if you're telling me Pete Carroll is gonna come in there with voodoo magic and somehow propel the Aiden O'Connell led Raiders into the playoffs, you're smoking something. Give me some.
dude when he got to the Seahawks, like the first two seasons, which were like the two season or the two seasons in which he went to the Super Bowl, he didn't have like MVP level Russell Wilson. He had a rookie Russell Wilson that barely threw the
You
football
know
because
who's
the
better
defense was
than
so good that he was
you know
coaching.
who's better than Aiden
And the
O'Connell?
players were
Rookie
buying the
Russell Wilson.
system.
Like
Who But he's not gonna be having Aiden O'Connell. Like they're
you
surely
said
gonna
that last
address
year
the QB
and the year
position.
before that.
No, the year before that, I don't think I said because they had someone else
Oh, you
fighting
mean
with Aiden
Jimmy
O'Connell. I
Garoppolo?
did think they
That
were
guy?
gonna address this past season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's it. But this year, like again, they were addressing it, but like the Falcons jumped the gun, so that went to shit. Um, but this year, like they're sitting with a top five pick. I think they're gonna go for it. They're gonna go for a QB in there. Um, and again, I think like you are probably undermining the impact that Pete Carroll had with the Seahawks. Like again, I'll ask you. You can say that it was Russell Wilson and whatnot, but when Russell Wilson left, we had Geno Smith and we still went to the playoffs that first year. Grabber, he held on a science experience that he was making with Geno
Great.
Smith and it worked out, been out
So can you
great,
do that same
and we went to
science
the
experience
playoffs.
with Aiden O'Connell?
I don't know if you can do it with Aiden O'Connell or with any other vet that is available right now. Like we're talking about this in February. I'm sure that QB market is gonna move a whole lot. Like I wouldn't be shocked
If
if they
Aaron
acquire a
Rodgers is a
vet
Raider
if they don't
this
like
time
this
next year, I'm
this
just
QB
gonna be
class.
dying laughing. In fact, like the report when that
Do they have to trade for Devontae Adams back? Does Adams go in there and is like, actually, guys, if you could take me back, I would really appreciate it. You know that I never really wanted to
Oh my
leave you
god.
guys.
I'm just saying, if that report comes out, I just want an apology issued to me.
And I think it's gonna work out. You know what could actually work out, and
The
what I can
Raiders
actually
being a
see
below
happening.
500 team for the umpteenth year in a row.
No,
Oh,
no,
go
no. The
for it.
QB going to the Raiders. There's one
Oh
guy
man.
that is currently a free agent. He came in last year. He got cut from a team prior to last year, and he joined another team with a great head coach that never loses,
Oh
never
no.
has a losing season in his career. He goes in there and he
Oh
is the
no,
starting
don't you
QB
dare
for a good
state.
chunk of that season. Now he is a free agent, and he can have a chance of reuniting with his
Uh,
former coach. And you can see the Las Vegas Seahawks reuniting in there with
oh,
Pete Carroll and Russell
disgusting.
Wilson.
Uh,
Hey, it's a vet QB. It's probably an upgrade
Probably.
over what they
You
have
have to
right now.
use the word probably. Okay.
No, it is. It is an upgrade over that.
Oh,
So yeah, I think it's gonna. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna work out because workout implies that they're actually gonna be good. I think for the purpose of what they brought him in for, I think it's gonna be fine. Okay. After that, I think we addressed the one that I thought was super weird, which was the Liam Cohen to the Jacksonville Jags. And this guy has an interesting story. I'm not sure if you followed it when he got hired. He was the former OC for the Bucks. Do you
nope.
know anything about what happened with this guy? Okay,
Why does this
so
guy
get
look like
ready.
a fucking
So this
cosplaying
guy takes.
fucking Mike Glennon? Anyway, sorry.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and you did not even see his weird ass Duval chant when he joined the Jags. So
Yeah.
this guy
Okay.
takes an interview with the Jags.
Mm,
Interview goes okay. He gets out of the building, and the report comes out that he said to the Bucks that he is not taking an OC job this year and he's coming
okay.
back to be the OC. Great. Jags stay quiet. After they
Mhm.
flame out on every single head coach hiring, and after Shad Khan comes out and says that Trent Baalke is still going to
This
be the GM,
the wor- the
he
worst
realizes
the
that
worst
nobody wants to
announcement an
work
owner has
with
made
Trent
in a
Baalke.
while. Yeah. Go on. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. And he just realizes, fuck, no one wants to work with this guy. So after all of that and
Get
all of the
fired.
endorsement that he gave to Trent Baalke, he fires Trent Baalke. Yeah, he says, Trent
Goodbye.
Baalke, you're the weakest link. Fuck off. Okay, so
Cool.
Trent Baalke gets fired. And after that, Liam Cohen, who had said to the Bucks that he was still going to be the OC, and actually had a contract that he was gonna sign with the Buccaneers that afternoon for an extension that would make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. He ghosts the Buccaneers. He goes to Jacksonville. He takes another meeting for the head coach job. The Buccaneers are dialing up his number, are sending him messages, trying to get in touch with Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen is rejecting every single thing that he's getting from the Buccaneers, and then the report comes out that he told some reporter. I don't think he even said to Todd Bowles this. He said to some reporter that he was in the building in Jacksonville to take the head coach job from Jacksonville. So like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers never learned from Liam Cohen that he was taking the job with Jacksonville until it came out to the media. So after all of this, Liam Cohen signs with the Jacksonville Jags. The Buccaneers are irate at Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen has made attempts to try and get like the offensive line coach to take
Yep.
an interview as the OC for the Jags. The Buccaneers have declined that. He tried to get the wide receiver coach as well, if I'm not mistaken. An interview with the Jags for the OC position. The Buccaneers want none of that. They are blocking every single interview that Liam Cohen has asked. And then he comes out and he drops the weirdest like chant in the podium interview that he's taking for the Jags as the new head coach of the Jags, in which he just says Duval, and he just looks like he has the weirdest coked up face ever, like Adam Gase level sort of coked on face when he was in the podium taking on the Jets head coach position. So wild ride for like a week for Liam Cohen, and yeah, he is the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jags. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was just looking at the press conference where he says Duval. Yeah, yeah. He got it out
Did
of
you see
a
it?
romance
I was
novel
gonna
from
send
looks
it
of
to
it.
you.
He even like
Does he not
he
look
looks
like
like
the
he's trying
weirdest
to seduce
motherfucker
the
ever?
fans into watching the games, which might actually work because it's Jacksonville. But that's probably going to get more than the two people that attend Jacksonville games. So Duval. Anyway,
And so with all of this, with keep it trend bulky and whatnot, they cost themselves the opportunity at like every single head coach, from like Ben Johnson to Pete Carroll or to like Aaron Glenn. And they have to end up with Liam Cohen, who was apparently like set on taking the OC job. And they fired Trent Baalke, and now they have Liam Cohen as the head coach at the head coach position.
so Trevor Lawrence wheels up. You're not sure?
I'm not sure, man. I don't know. This whole Liam Cohen
That's
situation,
so
I think it
Jacksonville.
started on the wrong foot. Like it is very Jacksonville, isn't it? Just completely fucking up the whole hiring process just to end up with like the last guy that you had on your list. And is this supposed to work now? Guess on paper he did a good job with Baker, sort of. But we saw that a guy that did an even better job with Baker the year prior didn't have a whole lot of success immediately with Carolina. So is Liam Cohen gonna work with the Jags? I don't know. I think this roster has a lot of issues right now, from the O line, the defense, the running backs. I think they're all pretty big issue for him right now. Like is he the type of guy that is gonna get the job done here and turn this around quickly? Because like you're expected to win now with a guy like Trevor Lawrence that still carries the name Trevor Lawrence. And I think your biggest issue right now is that like usually when you get this sort of hiring from another team, like the guy usually brings out the guys that he trusts on the offensive side or the defensive side of the football from his previous team. And he's sort of on an island there. Like he can't bring anyone that he trusts. It's gonna be a completely new staff of guys that he hasn't worked as much with before, because he can't bring anyone from Tampa. So I don't know. I feel like this is just a bit worrisome from like the managing relationship sort of aspect from Liam Cohen here.
So here's the thing. You saw last year with the Jaguars, right? You were one of the few people,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So here's my question. How much worse do you think it actually can get?
I don't think it can
Exactly.
get all
Play
that
with that
much
was funny,
worse.
baby.
My my thing is just like, how much better can it be with Liam Cohen? And
I
I'm
mean,
not sure if the
listen,
ceiling is all that much higher.
he did wonders with Baker. Are you saying you think Baker is a much better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence? If you want to say better, I'm not going to argue. I'm saying, do you think he's really that much better than Trevor Lawrence, talent wise?
I just don't know how much of it was Cohen's finger on Baker Mayfield and not the previous OC in Canales. I think a lot of that work had been picked up by Canales, and he made a whole lot of improvements on Baker and the offense. And Cohen managed to take the reins and like not mess things up. Sure, he did good work with Baker in there. Like the stats, if you look at the stats at the end of the season, like he had another great season. Baker did. The offense was beaming, but I'm just not sure how much of the success do I attribute to Cohen.
Hmm. I actually am. This is the move I think the Raiders needed to make. Quite honestly, like, is the way that it happened weird? Yeah, totally. Is it shady as fuck on multiple parties? Yeah, totally. But that's kind of what I wanted the Raiders to do. I'm actually somewhat optimistic about the Jaguars because they moved off the motherfucker who decided that while they had Trevor on his rookie deal, they were going to spend money on just overpaying for the most mediocre of mediocre players imaginable. And yeah, I get that why it's a terrible situation. Now Trevor is paid. He regressed a lot this last season, and now he's paid, and you don't have the financial flexibility that you had the last 4 years. That said, unless you think the cancer is the cons themselves, they did proverbially get the cancer out of the building, did they not?
I guess they did. Like, yeah, if we attribute a whole lot of the blame to Peterson, then sure, and Bulky, sure,
So,
I agree.
I mean, I'm more
I
optimistic for the.
just,
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm more optimistic for the Jaguars than I am the Raiders right now.
hmm. Hey, maybe the most like consensus opinion that I've seen on this is that it's probably a decent signing for the Jags. So maybe I am like
Yeah.
looking into this more than I should. I don't know. I just feel maybe it's just a gut feeling that like the way that this started, it will never finish off great. It's just one of those things. But yeah, maybe I'm just reading way too much into this, and like the work that he did with Baker is more on Cohen than what it was already been done by Canales. And it is a good signing for them. It is at least a offensive-minded head coach, which I always like for teams like this that still have a young QB that still needs some development because like I feel like Trevor Lawrence development has really stagnated for a few seasons now. So maybe this is like the piece that he needs to actually unlock a lot of his untapped potential. But we'll see. I am not super optimistic about this move. I feel like maybe I'm a bit more optimistic about this one than Jets one with Aaron Glenn. But I just thought it was a wild signing in general. That's like the thing that stuck in my mind is how wild it was, the whole process of it. And I guess like the last one that we know so far, because the Saints haven't hired the head coach yet. So that's the one that is still in the limbo. But the
Oh
last one
no.
was the Dallas
Darn Austin.
Cowboys.
Austin,
And
where are you?
as the
We
Dallas
need you for
Cowboys
this
usually
segment.
do,
Where is he?
yeah, and as the Dallas Cowboys usually do, they disappointed and they hire fucking Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Good, just great, I guess. That's like that's the move. That's the move that I think you think the Raiders did is hiring a guy like this, the sort of retread holder head coach that is like just not inspiring at all and is just like gonna do nothing for the franchise. This is the type of guy that I think you think the Raiders signed. But no, the Cowboys actually signed him. So another year of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys being wasted. Great job, Jerry Jones.
Hmm. I don't know. It's just what the fuck can you say about the Cowboys that hasn't already been said?
I don't know. I think Jerry looked at all of the candidates available, and his thought process on this was just what guy can I hire that won't overshadow me as the star of the Dallas Cowboys? And he reached Brian Schottenheimer. Hey, there's one thing positive that I can say about him is that he at least has the experience. Like he has been OC for the Seahawks, the Jets, I think the Rams as well, and he was also like assistant coach for a bunch of teams, like from the Redskins back when they were the Redskins, the Chargers back when they were in San Diego, the Colts, the Jags. Like he has been around. He has coached in a lot of places. He has a lot of experience. But this just feels like the most lackluster signing for the head coach that they could make. Like it's almost better that you keep Mike McCarthy at this stage.
Almost better. I want to say something. It's very controversial. It sounds extremely disrespectful, and I don't know if
What
I
is?
want to say it.
I
No.
think they are the puppets.
I think the Cowboys will be better if Jerry Jones is
What
dead.
are you gonna say?
When Jerry Jones is dead. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like
Well, it is true though.
I just it's not that I wish anything bad upon Jerry Jones, don't take it as that.
We
But
have knocked
like
on wood, people.
how
I
many
am
times
sitting on
can
a
you
wood
watch this
desk.
shit? Like how many times can a lesson slap you in the face and you not learn it? How many times?
I don't know.
Hello, Cowboys fans. Here's
Probably
Jerry
like
Stoudemire, and
as
this
we've
is the
learned with
lesson that I
Jerry
refuse
Jones,
to learn.
like 50 years.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know how many times, but probably like 30 years of these sort of decisions.
And here's the thing.
If we've learned
He's
anything
great
from
at
Jerry
roster
Jones.
construction. Like, he has drafted, signed, well, not signed. The Cowboys don't sign anyone. Who the fuck am I kidding? But they have drafted some of the best players that they could have drafted. Zach Martin, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke. They drafted Dak, who was I know you like to hate on Dak, but he was a very good pick in the third fucking round. Micah Parsons. Like,
Well, is he a great roster builder? Because, like, to me, if you're a great roster builder, you're not drafting like running backs in like the first fucking round.
but he hasn't done
So
that. Other
sure,
after
he
Zeke, he
has
hasn't done that.
alongside with his
But
sure after Zeke he hasn't, but he did
but
with Zeke, right?
I don't.
He also
But
traded Amari Cooper for peanuts. He also refused to leave some of his homegrown talent,
here,
like leave the
yeah.
team and
But
not
here's
having
the
to
thing. I don't
overpay the
understand how
guys.
you can be so good at drafting players and building a roster and so terrible at making coaching decisions. I just don't understand it. It's baffling to me. It's
Could
baffling to
it
me.
be that the drafting part
So
isn't
oh,
just
so you're
him?
so you're leaning all in on this that
I think, and I know that they re-signed someone. Who
You're
was
saying you're
it?
saying Jerry Jones ain't even
Uh,
deserving the credit for the stuff they got that's good.
what's it? What's the guy that I'm thinking about? Because they resigned someone, that is like head of player something or head of talent evaluation or something like that. Uh, what's the guy? Jesus Christ, I don't know. I can't find it right now. But they recently resigned some guy that his position was basically the head of talent scouting or the head of talent hunting or the head of evaluating talent or something like that. And could it be that because we've known that for a while now, for the past 4 or 5 years, Jerry's son has actually stepped in on a lot of the calls on the draft day, and has sort of like known when his dad was about to overstep some lines, and heck, he was just making picks over his dad at times. Could it be that a good bunch of the success that they've had drafting players was when they overruled Jerry Jones?
I mean, I didn't say that.
I'm saying it. Could it be that the bad things, like I'm sure that hiring an head coach, that's on Jerry. I'm not entirely certain that like the players that they've picked, they weren't scouted by Jerry. They were scouted by someone else. And I'm not sure how many of those guys did he actually push the button. Because if I remember correctly, the Zach Martin one, his son overruled him because he wanted
Johnny Manziel.
Manziel, right? I think that's the story. So hey, his son overruled him on that one. What other ones did he
Oh,
overrule him
now
in?
you're just
I'm just
saying.
saying. I'm just saying. Food for thought.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, I think it's just the safe hiring because they hire the guy that is gonna do whatever Jerry wants and whatever the GM wants, which is effectively Jerry, or Jerry's puppet. So whatever he's gonna do, whatever Jerry and Jerry's puppet tell him to do. So he's effectively Jerry's puppet, or Jerry's puppet.
This
That's
guy.
probably the
This
best
is
way to
weird.
put it. Uh, so yeah, it's just like it's just a disappointing signing, like everything Cowboys related. Now they're gonna give a massive extension to Micah Parsons, and things are just that's the way things go for Cowboys fans.
That's for Cowboys fans.
Okay, and that's all the coaching hirings that have happened so far. Think we have two more things to talk about. One of them we're gonna talk about right now. The other one we might have to skip. Let's see how much time this takes. The NFL awards show is gonna happen tomorrow. So we're recording this on Wednesday, February 5th. The awards show is gonna happen tomorrow on Thursday. So this is gonna be out before the awards show happens. And like amongst the big ones, it's going to be the MVP, it's going to be the Rookie of the Year, the Player of the Year, the Comeback Player of the Year, and the Coach of the Year awards. All of those going to be distributed amongst the players. And I wanted to see like which ones we actually agree on in terms of the odds. So I'm going to read you the favorite, the second favorite, and the third
Let's
favorite.
go.
So I'm giving you the podium right now for the books, the odds maker, and I want you to tell me if you agree with
All
these,
right,
if
I
you
want
agree with the
something
favorite
clear.
or not.
I want something clear.
So
Am
in a
I
quick sort of
agreeing
summary,
that
what?
this person is the favorite to win, or am I agreeing that this person should be the favorite to win?
I want you to tell me if you agree that the
Okay.
odds should be like this, and who do you think, like, if
Okay.
you actually think this is the guy that is going to win it?
Okay. So look.
Okay. So for the MVP, right now the favorites, like in all of the places is Josh Allen. Like in some of the places is minus 250. In a lot of places is right now a minus 400 favorite. So that's quite a bit of a favorite. The second guy is Lamar Jackson. You can get
Oh
him in a
my.
few places at around plus 200, but most
Nothing.
places have moved on to plus 300. So fair bit of a gap here. And the third guy is Saquon. Like most places, you're getting him at like plus 700, plus 800, plus my bad, plus 8,000, plus 7,000, plus 700, and 7,500. You're getting him around those odds. So do you actually agree that Allen should be the favorite? Do you agree
No.
with the odds? Should he be more favored
So
in your eyes?
there's two ways to look at this. I do think, just based on a narrative standpoint and based on the history of the MVP, the results being the deciding factor, I do think Josh Allen could be the MVP over Lamar Jackson. That said, I do not believe it should be a race between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. It should be a race between Josh Allen and Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is third in the list right now. There's a few places in which he is a close third because he's like plus 1600, plus 1600, plus 2200. Then there's a few places in which he's like plus 30,000, plus 10,000. So it's a big gap even to Saquon. But there's places in which he is the third candidate. Um, and for example, what's this? There's like two websites that I don't. The two that I recognize the logo is it's DraftKings and FanDuel. The other three I do not recognize this logo whatsoever. Maybe it's like Fanatics or something like this. So I understand where you're coming from. If you look at the stats alone, then when you put in the even if you look at the stats, Lamar Jackson had pretty great stats. Then he went to the playoffs. Now we can sit in here and talk about the team, the defense, whatnot. We know Joe Burrow didn't go to the playoffs, and it wasn't all on him. It was a good chunk was on the defense. But at some point, you have to put some sort of weight on the record and what they went to the playoffs and whatnot. So I understand why Lamar is favorite over Joe Burrow because he also has the stats, and he has some comparable stats to Joe Burrow. So I do understand why Lamar is second.
Stop
I
this.
think he should win over Josh Allen, but I understand the narrative for Josh Allen, and it is like the year in which he has the best case to get the MVP, and he's probably gonna get it because like he had to win one eventually, and this is probably the best year that he can get one. So I understand the odds. I think Lamar should win it. You don't seem to agree. You like this as it is. So
I mean, yeah. Why do you want? Can we get off the Lamar fucking bandwagon? Come on, like
hey, if you look at the
he's the
stats,
least
I think there's a case. That's
out of
all I'm
all
saying.
the perpetual playoff teams. I'm talking about the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Bengals. He's the least fucking threatening of all of them. That's how it feels. Tell me the matchup. Tell me the matchup outside of the wild card round that you like for the Ravens. Do you like him against the Chiefs? Do you like him against the Chiefs, Alex? No. Oh my
The thing is
god.
that it doesn't matter. Like they have submitted their vote
Mm.
before any playoff game happens. Like this is the regular season MVP. It's not the playoffs MVP. And if you look at the regular season stats, I think he had arguably a better year than Josh
Oh my
Allen.
god.
That's all that I'm saying. I understand that Josh is going to win it. I understand why Josh is going to win it. I just think that in terms of the stats, they're similar enough to the point in which I think Lamar is a slightly better case, but both guys have a good case for it, I think. Josh Allen won't be like a guy that wins it and it's not deserved. I think it is deserved. I just think Lamar deserves it a bit more. That's it. But I think it's close. So,
Unbelievable.
okay. Next up, it's the comeback player of the year. This one is very tight between Sam Darnold and Joe Burrow, outside of Caesars, because Caesars has Joe Burrow as a minus 250, which is around what he is in a lot of places. But they have Sam Darnold at plus 1,000. And like outside of Caesars, the best number that you're gonna get is plus like 160. That's it. That's what you're gonna get. So I don't know why this odd is so high here for Sam Darnold. Maybe they have some information that the rest of us don't have. But right now, like Joe Burrow is minus 120, minus 250, minus 250. So he's around minus 120 to minus 250. Those are the odds. Sam Darnold is a very close second because he's minus 105 in a lot of places. He's plus 160 in a lot of places as well. So he is similar enough here. I think your guy is going to get this award probably, unless they give it to Sam Darnold because your guy gets the offensive player of the year award, which usually doesn't go to a QB. And I feel like they need to give Saquon Barkley some sort of award. So he's probably getting OPI, and your guy is getting comeback player of the year. Enjoy it, I
So
guess.
is it deserved? Sure. Yeah, like Joe Burrow should be in the
Sure.
MVP conversation. Do I think someone of Burrow's caliber should win the Comeback Player of the Year award? No, I do not. I do not. I do not think a player like Patrick Mahomes, like Joe Burrow, like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, I'll give him his dues, deserves to be in that conversation. These guys are franchise altering quarterbacks. How do you come back? There is no coming back.
I mean, you come
It's
back
not
from
it's not
adversity
adversity,
in
it's an
this case
injury.
because it is an injury or it is a bad season. Yeah, but it's an injury. Like what has Sam Darnold come from? Sucking? Come back from sucking? Is that it? It's like it's the same as the Geno Smith when he came back from. And the argument against him was, what is he coming back from? Just being terrible. And I think the NFLPA gave instructions about this and like what is a comeback player of the year. And I think that's part of the reason why Joe Burrow is winning it, is because they made it clear that like you should wait your vote, and it's not because like a guy has a good season out of nowhere that he is a comeback player of the year. Because you actually need to have come back from some adversity, and the adversity can be the Jets or
I
sucking.
disagree. I disagree. But here we are.
But I understand both points. I understand why Joe Burrow wins it because he's coming back from having an injury, and I understand as well Sam Darnold winning it because it is a comeback. It is a comeback story from a guy that had a lot of promise out of college, and he comes back to actually reach some of that promise that he once had. And he came back from tough situations and from a very dire place in which it was looking like his career was about to be done in the NFL, at least at a starting level. And he comes back from that to have a very good season, sometimes even in the MVP conversation. So I feel like he deserves this as well. But I guess it just depends on how they're gonna rate this one. Both guys deserve it, though. I think that's fair to say.
It is fair to say. But I just think Sam Darnold has a much better case for it to me.
Okay, so for offensive player of the year right now, like the overwhelming favorite is Saquon Barkley. A few places have him like at minus 10,000. Like the best that you can get right now is minus 700, 1,700. After that, it's Jamar Chase in second. You can get him plus 1,000 in a few places, plus 2,500 in a few places. And the last one is Lamar at third, where you're getting him at like plus 6,600, plus 4,000, things like that. I feel like there's not a whole lot of discussion here.
Yeah,
It is Saquon Barkley, right?
my question is, what do you think happened
He needs to
to
get.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry also had a case, but I think at the end of the season, they weren't using him as much, and because he isn't all that much involved in the passing game, and they were using Justice Hill in a lot of those situations, he sort of dropped off there. He is currently like sixth in the betting odds right now that you can get him at.
Crazy to think about.
It's just like one guy actually had like he was threatening a record. The other guy had a very good season, and he has a case for comeback player of the year because of that. I think there's a case there to be made in which he has come back because he has a certain age that people associate with decline, and he didn't have that great of a season with the Titans, and he comes back and he actually just like has a full-on Derrick Henry type season in which he excels at what he's good at, and he shows that he is not done whatsoever. So I do feel like there's a case for him as the comeback player of the year as well. But for OPI, I mean, they have to give Saquon something, right? So this has to be it.
Yeah.
As for defensive player of the year, right now the three top guys are Pat Surtain, Trey Hendrickson, and TJ Watt. It seems like it is Pat Surtain's award to lose because in a few places it's minus 500. Trey Hendrickson and TJ Watt are somewhat similar, but there's a few places that have TJ Watt as the clear second guy at plus 185, for example. I do think like Pat Surtain deserves it. I feel like it would be kind of neat to give it to Trey Hendrickson because he has been producing a whole lot for a few years right now. Because he was the one like shining star in that defense that looks so bleak at times. Because TJ Watt, I'm sure that there's voters fatigue in that one. Pat Surtain would be neat as well because he's a corner, and corners usually don't win it all that much. It's usually an edge rusher award. But what do you think? Like he had a pretty great season, Pat Surtain, for sure. Like he was the lockdown corner that we expected him to be when he went to the Bucks, to the Broncos. So what do you think? Are you rooting for your guy? Do you think he should win? Do you think the odds are
as long
accurate
as
here?
either Trey or Pat gets it, I think it's a good win, regardless. I think both of them deserve it.
We're anti TJ Watt here. That's what I want to hear. Okay, so we're in agreement. Pat Surtain probably deserves it, but both guys, it would be a fair award to give. For the Rookie of the Year, we're missing 3 awards. For the Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I don't think there's really a discussion here. Like, this was close at times between him and Bo Nix. But Shane Daniel is like minus 20,000.
Weird. Okay.
In a few places.
So, where's the number 1 overall pick, Alex?
He is sitting pretty at plus. What number is this? I need to zoom in because there's a lot of zeros in here after that one. This is plus 100,000.
Plus 100,000, huh? Generational quarterback.
Yeah. He has the same odds as Malik Nabers, Michael Penix.
Malik Nabers has a much better case than Caleb Williams. I hate to bring it to you.
Hey, I'm just.
Wait a minute. Speaking about Malik Nabers, where's Marvin Harrison Jr., Alex?
Worse odds than Bucky Irving. Oh, he's ahead of them.
What?
All of them, by the way. He is, yeah, he is one, two, three, four, five. Because like there's some books that do not offer odds for a lot of guys. So I'm looking at like DraftKings. DraftKings still offers odds for all of them. And DraftKings has Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 50,000. So, but to be fair, there's like, for example, Caesars, if I'm not mistaken, they have odds for Nabbers at plus 25,000, but they do not have odds for Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's why I'm comparing like the same sports book that has odds for all of them. So there's like three sports books that also have odds for Nabbers outside of DraftKings, and they have them at like plus 25,000, plus 30,000, plus 40,000. So, but I don't have anything to compare with Marv. Marv isn't available in any other book. So yeah, the it's just Jaden Daniels here. That's it. That's the award. Give it away. As for the defensive rookie of the year odds, Jared Verse is the clear favorite right now. He's minus 1,000, minus 2,000, minus 4,000 in other places as well. Like he is the overwhelming favorite. Quinion Mitchell, he is the second guy, but it's not close whatsoever, and it's not close between Quinion Mitchell and Brandon Fisk at third. So looks like the overwhelming favorite here is Verse. Quinion Mitchell, great season for him with the Eagles, as well as Cooper DeJean. But I feel like for Quinion, he was lacking the picks that really boost up the stat sheet. That's how Sauce won it in his rookie year over to Rick Woolen. So I feel like Jared Verse is a deserved winner of this award. I know there's not a whole lot of a big spotlight on the defensive rookie of the year, but it's probably well deserved to Jared Verse.
No, I think the defense one is pretty cut and dry. Yeah.
And yeah. And finally, the last award here,
Oh
the
no, this
NFL
is
Coach of the
Alex's
Year.
favorite
Right now, the
award.
favorite is
Oh,
yes. Right now, the favorite is Dan Quinn at
what?
plus 180. I don't know. Yeah, Dan Quinn is the
We're
favorite.
doing what with the
I
Falcons?
I don't know. I feel like I don't
Well,
know, man. I have no idea. But like, I feel like Dan Campbell at plus 600 is probably good value. I feel like Kevin O'Connell at plus 500 is probably good value. I feel
I think both of
like
them are much better
looking
candidates than
at the
fucking Dan
others, at the
Quinn.
other names. Yeah, especially when we know that, if I'm not mistaken, they submitted their ballots before the playoffs even started. So they don't
And
take
I get
into
it. I
account
get
anything that
you.
happened in the
You
playoffs.
can't put Andy Reid in there
So it's
because
like
coach fatigue. I get it. Like,
he is the third though. He is the third best odds, at least in the websites that I'm seeing. He is plus 550. He has better odds than Dan
no.
Campbell, Jim Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton.
Oh, that's crazy. Dan fucking Quinn.
I feel like I feel like a sneaky candidate, and this is super long shot, but I mean at the odds, heck, I would take a shot at it. But Sean McVay, he is plus 2,200.
That's a
Like
great case.
I think I
It's
would
a great
much rather
case.
take Sean McVay at plus, yeah, for plus 2,200 over Dan Quinn over plus 180. I don't know. I feel like either him or Campbell, there's a very good case for them because Campbell has the thing that it's like he has been a candidate for what, 3 seasons now, and he never won it. So it could be like sort of the of the whole, we're giving the MVP award to Josh Allen because it is the best year that he has a case for it, and we never gave it to him. So let's give it to him right now and be done with it. I think that it could be something similar here for Dan Campbell, plus 600. I think those are my two favorite ones to take a bet right now. It's Dan Campbell at plus 600 and Sean McVay at plus 2200.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Honestly, again, like we don't give enough credit to the Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford era of the Rams. We just simply do not. It's just crazy.
You you know what's also a sneaky one? And if I had to pick a third one to take a slight stab on betting wise, it's Sean Payton at plus 1200. Because he grabbed a rookie QB that wasn't highly touted. So he has that over Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn grabbed the second overall pick in the draft. He grabbed a team that wasn't any good
Oh, wait a minute,
that
wait a minute,
past
wait a minute. I'm
season.
thinking of the
Back when
wrong
he
head coach,
was
aren't I?
with the team. What, Sean Payton
No.
with the Broncos?
Dan Quinn isn't with the Falcons. That Dan Quinn is with the Commanders.
No. Dan Quinn
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the,
yeah,
was
yeah.
is with the
I
Commanders.
was
Yeah,
thinking about because wasn't he the Falcons head coach before I got put into the fucking the early 2020s.
he
So my
he
bad,
was in
everyone.
that Super Bowl run.
I think that is a better case with the because again, I think that falls into the same scenario as the Rams is. No one expected them to perform; they performed. So I think that is a solid case. That is me.
But like isn't the case with Sean Payton and Dan
Oh,
Quinn
1000%,
the same?
1000%.
So like why is one guy like plus 180
No,
and the
I
other guy like plus 1200?
that's
I'm
fair.
taking the plus 1200 guy, right? Okay, so I think those are my three favorites right now, especially at these odds. If you can get these odds, I'll take a stab at them. You're still gonna have some time. The listener's gonna have some time to take some bets. If you want to have some action on the awards, I don't know which sort of books still offer them right now, but I'm sure that these odds are provided by DraftKings. So at least DraftKings will have odds for you to bet before the awards show. So take a look at them. If you like any of them, if you agree with our rationale, be our guest. Take some of those bets. Okay, so right now there was two more topics to talk about,
Yep.
but this show is nearly 2 hours
Time
long.
to
So
bring it home.
what are we
Bring it
gonna
home.
do, Angelo? Bring it
We'll
home?
have plenty of
Okay.
time next week,
So
and we
yeah,
have a
hope
Super
you
Bowl
guys
to
enjoyed the
review
show.
after Alex is either more likely Alex is
Yes.
wrong again, and I'm right. But
Uh, I have the Chiefs on my side. I'm not gonna be wrong, Angelo.
that is your best case. Is you do have the Chiefs.
See? The Chiefs on my side. I'm gonna have to decide if I'm gonna
I hope you,
sleep what 3 hours from Sunday to Monday and actually catch the full Super Bowl, or if I'm just gonna have to accept that I'm not gonna watch it live. The first Super Bowl that I won't watch live in like the last what since I started watching the NFL, nearly 10 years ago. So tough decisions. Either 3 hours of sleep and no Super Bowl live, or I sacrifice sleep for Super Bowl. Tough decision.
we'll see. You can tune in next week to figure out what Alex decided.
We'll see. That's exactly it. So yeah, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show so far. If you're listening on the Apple Podcasts app, if you're listening on the Spotify app, just make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Make sure to subscribe to the show as well. Turn on the auto downloads. That really helps out the show. And if you're listening on the YouTube, just make sure to leave us a comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications, all of those good stuff. And yeah, enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're a Chiefs fan, go. If you're an Eagles fan, I mean, what are you doing with your life? But I hope you have fun anyway. Enjoy the halftime show if you like Kendrick Lamar. And as always, guys, talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.